So this video is a little different than usual. The content of today's video comes straight from the cesspool of the internet, Twitter. You probably already know what it's about based on the title, but for those who don't, it's about Twitter fixing anime art. I put fixing in very, very strong quotation marks, but they're at least fixing it in their eyes. But before starting the video, I feel like I kind of gotta make one of these quick disclaimers. Please, whatever you do, do not send any hate to the people who made these drawings. I'm gonna blur out their Twitter usernames because I don't want anyone going over there to attack them, because most of them are pretty small. They're not like some big public account. Alright, so that's out of the way. The first thing that kind of brought this whole fixing art to the attention of the masses, including myself, is Uzaki. If you clicked on this video, you probably know what happened with Uzaki. This here is Uzaki-Chan. And in case you can't tell, she's 20 and has the big titties. When I first saw this character, I thought, well, maybe the author went a little overboard with the tits, but I was fine with it and went on with my life. However, that's not really how Twitter rolls. They fucking slammed on the gas and went full baby Wawa mode. Fuck this bitch! I hate her.
I made a
redesign
fucking
Uzaki-Chan. Gonna do
so
a
it's
bitch make me cookies. I hope Uzaki-Chan, more like fucking Unazi-Chan. Alright, that one's what the fuck. Alright. But you've probably heard about the Uzaki-Chan incident, so I want to move away from that. There's tons of videos already out there about it, and you could just go watch those. But it turns out fixing anime art isn't really anything new. In fact, I found a bunch of pages specifically dedicated to fixing these characters, or fixing, once again, quotations. A trend that I've seen in this fixing characters, it's generally one of a couple things. It's either making the character fatter, giving the character smaller tits, or giving the character a darker skin color. And in the eyes of the Twitter mob, this is fixing things. The most prominent of the three that I've seen, and the one that I'm going to be talking about more, is how they make a lot of the characters a lot fatter. And when I say fat, I mean obese, or even morbidly obese, not just slightly overweight. They make them extremely overweight. One page that I found, all they do is just take a character and make them fatter and give them a darker skin color. The context of the show or the character's role doesn't matter. For example, a reoccurring show on this person's page is My Hero. The cast of the show all being heroes and athletes. They're seen training, so it kind of makes sense within the story's universe that they're all fit. You wouldn't expect them to be super overweight. So why are they all now 200 or 300 pounds? I don't get it. Even if the characters aren't athletes, it still doesn't make sense for them to be so large. When you're creating a character for a show or a story, you want them to be representative of the audience that you're going to end up showing it to. And in the case of mangakas and the people who make anime and manga, they sell primarily to a Japanese audience. This is the same reason that in shitty high school harem shows, the protagonist looks as generic as possible. The creator is trying to cater to as large an audience as they can. So if they want to create a character to appeal to a large portion of the Japanese population, they're going to make them on the skinnier side. This is because very few people in Japan are obese. Only 3.6% of the population, or only about 25% are actually overweight. So very few are going to be able to relate or enjoy a very obese character. It's the same reason that there are so few black anime characters. It's because it's estimated that only about 0.02 to 0.05 of the population in Japan is black. That's 20,000 people. It's a very small percent of the population. It's different than the US, where over 30% of the population is obese and over 60% is overweight. That's a huge amount of people. That's absurd. That is just... I didn't expect it to be that high. When I was looking up shit for this video, I thought it was going to be 30% overweight. Not 30% obese. That shit's crazy. It's the main reason that many companies have been pushing overweight models in the recent years. It's not because they want to be nice to everyone. Large corporations don't give a shit about that. Look at all their sweatshops. It's because they notice there's a market for them to tap into. You walk down a street in the US and seeing an overweight or obese woman isn't that strange. But in Japan, it is, especially if that woman is black, like in most of the redesigns done on this page. That is an absurdly small percent of the population. You got to figure if 25,000, let's say 25,000% of the population is black. Then on top of that, you're adding the obese factor. That slims it down to, I don't have the actual numbers for this, but approximately probably less than 10,000. And that's still being generous. 10,000, it's an extremely small number of people. And it's just not worth it for them to push those kinds of characters. At the end of the day, I do agree with body acceptance and all of that. I think everyone should feel comfortable in their own skin. But just because you or someone you know is overweight or obese, it doesn't mean that everyone in media and TV has to be as well. Especially in this context, when we're talking about an industry that takes place in a completely different part of the world, where the situation with overweight people and obesity is so significantly different. Alright, that's it. The video was more of a rant, just me. It was kind of structured, I had a script to it, but it was more of a rant. I went off script a lot. This video it was a lot different than usual. I just went down this Twitter rabbit hole and had to talk about it. Anyways, subscribe, like, whatever. Peace.